Just waiting for a few people to join. Sit down. What? Mm-hmm. Don't be gross. Now we're eating his lollipop. I've forced him to join me on the video. Belly. Hmm?
Knee. This video on YouTube. Sit on your knee. I must sit on your knee.
No. So, I'm doing a live video. I will save it to my page, but I've had quite a lot of requests for different tutorials and different, a few different things from my post that I put on my stories yesterday. So I'm going to do a few over the next week or so while we're all in isolation. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. So the two most things that have been requested, the two highest requests, should I say, are, hi Jack, the first one is fringes and what we do about fringes. Hi. And the second one is men's hair and kids' hair, how to tame them, because we don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown for. So I'm going to attempt to give you a few tips. I'm not advocating cutting your own hair. Hi, Brad. Because in an ideal situation, we don't want you to cut your hair. We want a hairdresser to cut your hair. But I know that a lot of my customers will attempt to cut their own hair or someone in their families. So I thought I'd give you some pointers and some tips and things that we can do while we're in lockdown. So yeah, if you can avoid cutting your hair or your kids' hair, then avoid it. But if you really must, then I thought I'd just give you a few hopefully helpful hints and tips. So first of all, we'll start on fringes, because I know a lot of my clients have got fringes and some will be nice and the length that they want them, and some will have started growing out. So there's a couple of options when it comes to your fringe. So the most obvious really and the easiest, if you can do it without cutting it, would be to give yourself a side fringe. Find a bit of a part and literally sweep it across to the side. Might need a bit of hairspray on it or something, but in an ideal world, if you can avoid cutting your fringe, avoid cutting your fringe. So yeah, keep it to the side and wear it like that for a bit. You might like it more than a full fringe, who knows. If you find that you can't cope with it, it's really annoying you and you're feeling down and you're gonna cut it, then I'll try and give you a few pointers on how to not cut it badly. First of all, cut your fringe dry, because when your hair's wet, you don't see where it falls naturally and lies naturally. So what you find is if you cut your hair wet and then dry it, it will end up being a lot shorter than what you want it to be. So if you're going to cut it, aim to cut sort of at eye length to start with, not higher up. Hi Soph. And then you've got sort of a bit of leeway. You can always work your way up, but you can't add it on if you cut it too short. So if you're doing it dry, comb down, hold with your fingers but not dead tight, just you want it still to fall naturally. Now, you don't want to go in straight across like that. Whenever you're doing any cutting or attempting any cutting, do not go in straight across, because all you're going to end up with is a blunt line and it's going to look awful. So I'm not actually going to cut my fringe because it doesn't need cutting, it's all right at the minute. But if you are wanting to trim it, literally get your scissors. You want to be holding them in a diagonal way, upwards, and literally snip the ends up and diagonal. That'll make sure you're not getting like a harsh blunt line, and you don't want it to be, especially if you're cutting it yourself, it's not going to be perfect. So you want it to be as messy as you can really. Hi Paige, hi Stella, hi Kathy. So yeah, that's the first sort of pointer. Do not cut across, chip up into it and sort of start, like I say, at eye level and work your way up. If you need to cut a little bit more off, you can do. Thanks. Ella's got my cue. So yeah, that's the first thing for cutting your fringe. Don't cut yourself a fringe in. If you've not already got a fringe, don't cut yourself a fringe in. Hi Paige. Just, you know, if you've got a full fringe that you're wanting to trim, that's the best way of doing it. Like I said, I'm going to save this video onto my stories and my highlights so that it stays on there anyway if you missed the beginning of that. But yeah, the main factor is when you're doing your fringe, do not cut across, because you're going to look a mess. And don't cut it wet, because it's going to end up here, and nobody wants a fringe up there unless you want to look like Spock from Star Trek. So the next pointer that loads of people have asked for is about men's hair, boys' hair, and how they can tame their partner's hair while they're in isolation, if there is a way of doing that, and if your partner will let you touch the hair and cut it, then off we go. No. Again, Noah's going to be my guinea pig because his hair needs trimming. It's not awful, but if you can avoid doing it, avoid it, obviously. Same with women's hair. I was thinking, what else could we do? Thinking like headbands to cover your roots up that are coming through. You're not going to be able to colour your hair. Just go with it. If your hair's growing out and it's a bit longer than it normally would be, it's a bit out of shape, then just go with it. Try some new styles while it's growing. No one's seeing you. You're not doing anything. Just tie it up, or, you know, try and do something different, or to try and hide it. Don't get cut in the back of your hair, please. Hi. So for men's or boys' hair, right, Ellie, you move out the way a minute.
Just need to put my down. Just need to get it there
Noah up to the camera so you can see. So Noah isn't too bad, like I said, at the minute. The arms in. But the first thing you'll probably notice with your partner's hair or kids' hair, boys especially, I mean girls, you don't need to cut your girls' hair, you might need to trim the fringe, but they can manage. A few split ends can be tidied up once the lockdown is over. So the first thing, stay still Ellie, sorry about that. First thing that you'll start to notice when the hair is growing out, which probably annoys most blokes first, is this over the ears. Hi Anna, hi Dee, hi Joe. So this will probably be what annoys them first and what they want to get rid of. So if you can do bare minimum, again, do bare minimum. I know we're not seeing anyone for ages, but if anyone's got any questions, just feel free to ask and I'll try and answer them as I go along. So yeah, if you can get away with just trimming this to tidy them up and look smarter, then just try and do that. Don't try going mad with clippers. Because it'll probably end up a mess. So I'll give you a few pointers in case you wanted to, you know, if you need to do more. I don't know how long this is going to go on for, so it might go on for a while. But yeah, if you can get away with it, pull the ear down. Again, we're not going straight across because we're going to end up with nasty lines. But, just move the head away now. Just trimming up, like we said with the fringe. Around the ears, just follow the shape of the ears. And then you'll be able to see what falls over the ears. You're lucky that Noah's letting me do this because he hates having his hair cut. So straight away, you can see it just tidying up the strays, straightening that line across. And again, just taking sort of the minimum off to make it look tidier. Because this doesn't really, unless your hair grows straight out, you can sort of comb that down, but it's over your ears where it starts to look messy. So that tidies it up straight away. If you need to take anything off the fringe, again, what I said with girls' fringes, and Jana says hi, he's not waving. Pull down gently, using your scissors upwards, not across, chip upwards, just at the very edges. Follow what's already there. Straight up and into the hair. And that'll just take the ends off. And obviously you can go shorter, so don't go for it straight away and take loads off. But it'll just take up the ends, so it's not like if it's getting to the point where it's in their eyes or anything. But again, get them to sweep it over, try a new style, try something different. Noah's very pleased about that, aren't you, Noah? So, if you felt brave, if you own a pair of clippers, again, try and avoid cutting your hair at all while you're in lockdown. If no one's going to see you, then, you know, try not to. But if they're getting desperate, if you own a pair of clippers, do not use and go in straight like that with no guard on. Otherwise, you're going to end up bald and you have to shave it all off. I would, if you've got some guards, this is a number 4, and I'd say go in with a number 3 or 4 or higher if the hair's longer, because that'll be the easiest to blend out and to fix, if you like. You don't want to go really short. Hi, Kate. Move that way, Ellie. So, with your clippers, again, it's going to be around the ears and the back of the neck that's going to look messiest first. So if you just go in and away from the head, in and away from the head. And that's another way of just, like I said, this is a number 4, so you can see it's taking some of that length, quite a lot of that length off. So if you're going shorter, it's going to be a lot harder to blend out. So the longer you can go with your guards, the better. And if you can just tidy up round the ears. And sort of do a rocking motion back towards you, so it's not like flat to the head. I can see that still. Obviously, the higher up you go, the more you're going to have to try and blend it out. So, like I say, bare minimum that you can get away with, the better. But that has just tidied up that. Just turn your head again for me. Look that way. That's just tidied up that bottom line. If you wanted to, you could go higher up and just keep doing that, blend it out. And like I say, the longer guard you've got on your clippers, the better it's going to be. But keep rocking. So you're going in flat, but then you're rocking the clippers away from the scalp, so it's not straight up like that. And then you can just use your scissors to sort of chip in that way to take that line out. Another option, I know some of you own thinning scissors, which are like that. And if you didn't want to actually cut any length off, give them Mummy. If you didn't actually want to cut any length off of your hair, but you need to take some of the bulk out of it, that might make it a bit more manageable for men's hair or children's hair.
That's a good idea.
Wait a minute.
Because you got to do your video.
Look forward.
I got to get my hair
You got to get your hair cut.
and
Good
go
idea.
to bed early.
So, I'll try and stand this side. Grabbing sections of hair, going forward along the head and cutting upwards and diagonal, and it'll just take out thickness rather than taking off any length, so you're not going to have messy lines to tidy up, but it'll make the hair, especially if you've got bushy hair or very thick hair, a pair of thinning scissors will make your hair last a little bit longer, but don't go mad with them, you're not hairdressers. So again, avoid cutting your hair if you can, but yeah, just a few tips there on how you might be able to tidy up sort of around the ears and fringes. Like I say, I'll save the video because I talked a bit about women's fringes at the start and what we can do with those.
Do we have a brush?
No, not yet. Right, you can leave and I'll finish your hair in a minute. So the other thing that people asked me to talk about was hair styling and a few hair tutorials and also hair care. So I'm going to do a few different styling videos over the next few weeks and I'll upload them, like braiding and simple updos and things. So yeah, give new things a try if your hair's growing out and you're struggling like doing what you would normally do with it. Like I say, if you've got short hair and you're struggling with it because it's growing out of shape, invest in some headbands maybe, or like little head scarves, and just really try and keep them out your face as much as you can. As far as hair care, while we're all off and home, well, most of us, try and look after your hair a little bit more carefully, and perhaps give it a few treatments and things. So I've been using this Maria Nilla head and hair heal mask recently, and recommend if you can doing a treatment on your hair once a week. But also I was thinking, while we're not really going out, we're probably going to be using less heated tools on our hair, and it's going to have less hammer than it would in everyday life, because I don't know about you, but I've been living in pyjamas and putting my hair in a bubble. So we don't really need to do his hair that much, do we? But yeah, try and give it a bit of a treat while we're off and you've got a bit more time. So yeah, hair masks. Also, this is a really nice Revlon one. It's a really nice all-in-one styling spray. So it's got heat protection, shine and frizz control. It's got detangling, for detangling, prevents split ends, adds body. So it's like an all-in-one thing. You can buy that online. They do a few different flavours, if that's what you call it, but they all do the same thing pretty much. And also, if you've got a nice oil treatment, either keratin oil, argan oil, using that on your hair, on the ends when it's wet, and drying it in, and yeah, using something like that to give it a bit of a treatment and to give it a bit of nourishment. Trying to think what else would be useful. Anyone got any questions? So yeah, I will save this video and I shall do some more of little hair tutorials and things. But yeah, if you've got any questions, drop me a message. And yeah, I think that's about it. That's covered. They were the two most asked for things. How do we sort fringes out, and how do we sort kids' hair, men's hair? Like I say, girls' hair, just don't worry about your split ends. They're going to be a mess. Everyone's hair is going to be a mess. Oh, colour was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. I know that a lot of people are going to be really struggling because their hair can't be coloured. And like I say, we don't know how long it's going to be, that we can't go to the hairdressers, how long it's going to be before we can start work again. So if you've got natural roots coming through that you need to hide, the best thing I can suggest really is a root touch-up cover-up spray. You can get them in different shades, usually from the supermarket, so you can pick one up. They're not the best, they're not going to match your hair perfectly, but they will just cover your greys down your part line if you need to. Sort of spray them away from your hair and brush it through to diffuse the colour a little bit, but it'll just hide your grey roots if you've got any. And Bran, you're going to be bald. Skinhead, no, don't do that, your hair's growing. Yeah, so root spray, please don't buy box dyes, because it's just going to cost you more to get it fixed when your hairdressers are back up and running. But yeah, if you can manage with a root spray, or like I say, headbands, get creative and use something to cover your roots. And as I was saying, I don't want to upset any hairdressers that may be watching or see this video, so we're not advocating for you to cut your hair at all. If you can avoid doing it, avoid it. If you can push your fringe to the side and have a side fringe, have a side fringe. But I know I've got clients that will cut the hair, and they will cut the fringe, and they will cut the kids' hair or the partner's hair. So if they do that, I'd rather them have a few tips on how best to go about it. And if you've got any other questions, yeah, give me a message and I will try and answer anything else. But it's been lovely talking to you all. Well, one way. But I shall see you soon, and I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Bye!